welcome to the Susan LoPresti Wellness Mind, Body, and Soul podcast. This is the go-to space for midlife and mature women who are ready to reclaim their health, boost their energy, and live long, vibrant, and purposeful lives. Each week, we dive deep into natural wellness, holistic healing, anti-aging strategies, and healthy lifestyle habits to help you feel your best physically, emotionally, and spiritually. Whether you're navigating menopause, working through chronic conditions, or simply wanting to age gracefully and intentionally, this show is your sanctuary for science backed insights, powerful stories, and soul nourishing inspiration. If you're a woman over 50 looking to thrive in the next chapter of life, you're in the right place. Today's guest, I'm so excited to have, is Riana Malia. Riana is a identity architect for high achieving women. Riana's work bridges emotional healing, neuroscience, and identity evolution, helping those who have been successful in life but still feel stuck, particularly in love. She's designed transformational methods, including Clear to Create and Quantum Pattern Protocol, which have supported hundreds in finding authentic connection, safety, and self worth. Rihanna is especially gifted at guiding post divorce women and ambitious professionals ready to break free from unhelpful emotional patterns. She brings depth on the topics like identity reinvention, subconscious clearing, feminine leadership, and the journey to extraordinary love after disappointment. Her immersive brilliance brunch experiences and live events are a testament to her unique approach that is both compassionate and practical. And without further ado, Rihanna, I'm very excited about this conversation. I want to thank you so much for being here, and I can't wait to get into this conversation with you.
Thank you, Susan. I am thrilled to be here.
I'm so glad that you are because so am I. So I want to start by understanding what was your turning point in your own journey that led you to bridge neuroscience, emotional healing, and identity work.
That's a great question. So, like most of us, we all have our story, right?
Yes.
So, I grew up in Minnesota for the most part, single mom. My dad was in California. He wasn't really participatory. He had another family, etc. When I went off to college, he said, "Hey, listen, I'm gonna pay for your room and board because I didn't really help growing up, your mom, etc." Great. Get to college, 18, excited. Maybe 6 weeks in, 8 weeks in, they called and said, yeah, the bills were never paid. You're maxed on loans. So I said, okay, do I leave school or do I figure it out? So I tapped into that resourceful part of me and went and got 3 jobs, rented a 5-bedroom house, filled the other 4 bedrooms, and, you know, went forward in my plan in my life, but also just one more validation and disappointment and just that sense of like not being important enough, right?
Yeah.
And to just have it be just so dismissive. So fast forward after college, I got married very young, 22 or 23. Don't do that. You don't know who you are. And the marriage had a lot of issues, right? I was very lonely in that marriage. We had our miracle child, Maddie, and then we got divorced when she was 6. And it started off feeling quite peaceful as a dissolving a marriage can be, and then it turned volatile and crazy and like many people's stories, right? So then there was that big shift, and even though the marriage wasn't meant to be continued and stayed in, you still grieve for what you thought your family and future and life was going to look like.
Absolutely.
So my father was kind of in and out, more participatory at this point. And, it was Minnesota, it was winter, it was 40 below zero. I had horses, and the metal thing snapped off the pump because it was so cold. So to get water to the horses, I actually had to run a hose into the laundry room in this little farmhouse and hook it up to the washing machine. It was a nightmare. So around that time of feeling just really overwhelmed and, being single mama, working full time, of course, my father had said, "Hey, I think it's a great time for you to come to California and take over this family business." And everything in me was screaming, no, 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 no. Even my two best girlfriends begged and pleaded. They're like, no, this is a horrible idea. We can't trust him. But rather than listening to my own intuition and my best friends, I ignored it all. And I packed up my mom, my daughter, who was 9 at the time, two horses and three cats, and moved across the country.
Wow.
And then we got here, and the first few months felt magical and like this dream come true for me to be in Mill Valley. Maddie could grow up in this little town at the base of Mount Tam, and the beach is right there. And my mom and my dad and the horses and everybody, it just felt really good. And then about 6 months in, I was in the back and I heard some noises come in, and all of a sudden I was surrounded by federal agents, put in handcuffs, guns drawn, and found myself in a situation where there was not legal things happening in the inside of this family business. So now I don't know a single person here. I now no longer have a source of income. I have to deal with the emotional fallout of that kind of betrayal, right? Who does that? Not only to me, but to put Maddie and my mom in danger. And so I had to make a choice. We could either go back to Minnesota, which we totally could have done. I probably wouldn't have been able to bring the horses back, but we could have gone back to our family and our friends and our community, or I could keep my promise because I promised Maddie I was going to only disrupt her life once. And I moved around a lot as a child, and it was very hard. And you just didn't feel that like grounded sense of like just being able to be a child and just relax and not worry about things.
Yes.
So for me, that was the most important, to break that kind of generational like promises broken over and over, right? So again, stayed, figured it out, a few $100,000 in credit card debt, but we made it work. So in that moment, kind of the culmination of all of that, to answer your question, was after that huge betrayal by my father, I went to therapy because I was so, I was either angry or just devastatingly sad and alone, and now, just so stressed. And, you go to therapy after a divorce or after anything, and you go to therapy and you talk about it, and you talk about it with your girlfriends, and you read the books, and all of that is beneficial. But at a certain point in time, when you stay in the story, it just keeps you from ever moving forward.
Correct.
So in that therapy time, he'd written me this ridiculous letter, and I wrote back like 20 pages. I never sent it to him, but it was good for me to just process it. And then, but I was so tired of telling the story because then you're just in it, right? And it was like almost to the point where I was just like, I just don't even want to talk about it anymore. And it was about that time someone introduced me to a little bit of work that then became my life's work in creating the Clear to Create method and the quantum pattern protocol. And it was amazing. In a matter of weeks, there was parts of me that I didn't recognize in all the best way.
Wow.
Having the ability to forgive my father fully, but he doesn't get a seat at the table, right? He
Right.
doesn't get access to me. But I don't carry the pain in my heart and my body of the anger and the rage and the sadness and the disappointment, because that's not mine to carry. And so that was the beginning of the journey of then really diving in and going in and doing all this training and doing all the learning and the, being certified and doing all the things, and then creating my IP from that process. And it's just been amazing because it's just such a joy.
Tell us about the program, what it's all about.
Sure. So my tagline has always been your very best life, like for as long as I can remember, whether we've been friends for 30 years or we met in the grocery store line, like I want you to live your version of your very best life. And it's different for all of us, right?
Yes.
But the truth is you cannot go from being held back by past pain or trauma or loss or disappointment to just living your very best life. It doesn't work that way. First, we have to clear before we can create. So you have to clear the story to create the life, right? Just like I was talking about, you say you want a different story, you have to stop telling the old one. And there's a
Yeah.
big distinction between being in your story and standing on your story. And we have to clear the cycles to create the confidence. So many of my clients come to me at this stage of life and they're like, I don't even know. I don't even know. I don't even trust myself because I thought I knew. And look how that turned out, right?
Yeah.
So those old cycles of how we process and how we respond and we have to clear the patterns to create the partnerships because we want aligned, wonderful, loving partnerships, whether that's in a romantic partnership with our professionally, with our friends, with our family, with our children. But when we bring all the old pattern and all the old wiring and all the old stuff, we don't get those aligned partnerships. We just get more of the same, right?
Yes.
People ending up in the same relationships over and over again, or the same money things, or the health things. And they're like, why, how did I end up here again? Right?
Why
That's
does that happen? Because I know exactly what you're talking about. Is
so,
it like a comfort zone almost? Like that you feel
well,
comfortable?
part of it is that the unconscious mind is designed to keep you safe, which also keeps you small, and it survives. It knows how to survive what it knows. So if you grew up in a chaotic household or you've been in, abusive situations, it knows how to survive that. But
Yeah.
here's the thing that's really fascinating is that so first I'm going to just frame the unconscious mind and then I'll tell you why that happens. So if you think
Okay.
about our body, right? Everything from the neck up is our conscious mind. It's our goal setter, it's our critical faculties, everything we know, and we use it all day long. It's 10%, which means the rest of our body, the other 90% is the unconscious mind. So if the conscious is the goal setter, the unconscious is the goal getter. It's the operating system. It's also the literal library of everything we've ever experienced in our lifetime, which is held at a cellular level, right? We think about memory being in the brain, which of course it lives in the circuitry,
Yeah.
but we know now scientifically that memory is cellular. So when you can clear all of that anger, sadness, fear, guilt, shame, limiting beliefs, limiting decisions in a beautiful way using something like quantum time release, where you're not going back into any of the trauma that caused the pain in the first place, you get to be free from that. So, why does it happen? Every single day, we think between 65,000 and 85,000 thoughts. 90% of those thoughts are recycled. They're the same thoughts we thought yesterday and the day before and the week before and the month before, and for sure in the middle of the night when you're staring at the clock and it's 3:33 and you're running through all the what ifs and you're just the ruminating. The problem with that, Susan, is that 75% of those thoughts are negative.
Right.
Now, I get a lot of pushback on that because a lot of, I work with high achieving, heart led women and they're like, nope, I'm good. Got my mindset good. Like I'm clear. I'm never going to put up with that. I don't want this. I don't want this. But here's the thing they don't realize the unconscious mind, just like the universe, it doesn't hear the qualifying don't. So when you're always focused on the things you don't want, right? I don't want to be in another relationship where I can't feel like I can trust them. I don't want to be in a relationship where I'm not like cherished and adored. I don't want to be in this financial debt. I don't want to have this extra menopause weight on my body. I don't like my job. I don't.
Mm-hmm.
Problem is, that's where your focus is. And it's all you will continue to get. It's why people end up in the same relationships multiple times. It's why people, you know, never get rid of their money story. It's why people have, physical stuff manifesting in the body that they can't get rid of. So the amazing thing is there's something that we do and we play over a course of 72 hours. It's called the fear to focus flip. And one of my core values is being a magnet for miracles. And I love to teach that to my clients. And so we actually create something called your away wall and your toward wall. And your away wall is everything you don't want. Your toward
You
wall is
say that again, your away wall?
your away wall and your toward wall. So this part of the framework is called the fear to focus flip. And so I have you write a list of everything you don't want. And
Okay.
then I have you write another list of like magic wand, fairy dust, every hope, wish, dream, desire you have on the other list. And then over the course of 72 hours, I have you wear a rubber band and do some very specific things so that we can actually create a pattern interrupt and start creating new neurology and new neural pathways around what you're focusing on. And in the course of those 72 hours, it's so amazing because you will be able to not only recognize it, replace the thought, and pull yourself out of it. And it might have been days before, and then hours, and then minutes, and then you become a master. Because 17 seconds of holding any thought starts to spark the neural pathways. So if you think about how powerful that could be, if you spend half your day in a focusing or thinking about the things that you don't want or that you're afraid of,
Mhm.
that's the neurology that continues to get reinforced. It's like putting a address in the car in the GPS and it goes there. It's the same in our brain. We're telling it where to go. So if we're telling it that we're focused on all of these things and people that we can't trust and circumstances and relationships that are always failing, it can only take us in that direction. So we have to flip that and create new behavior and strategy in neurology.
That makes perfect sense.
Yes.
But on the day-to-day journey that we're all on, we totally are the reverse, always thinking about everything that's negative.
Right.
Wow.
So it's really amazing when you do this process
Yes.
because then you recognize it. And then when you have the pattern interrupt, which is in this case, snapping a rubber band hard so that and then you recognize what it was, guarantee it was something on that away wall list, and then you replace it with a better feeling thought, raises your frequency, gets you out of your head, gets you in a different space, and then everything else starts to shift. So I know people, we all know people that are like, it never works out for me.
Yep.
Doesn't matter what I do. You never get, it's raining out. Of course, there's no parking spots. You go to the doctor and they don't know anything. And you go get your hair cut and they did a terrible job. And you meet somebody and they're just like everybody else. And it's like, it's just this, it will never end. It's a guarantee self-fulfilling prophecy. Nothing will ever go your way.
Yeah.
But when you flip that and all of a sudden there's always parking spots, you're meeting incredible people because again, we also what we're focusing on ignites the reticular activating system in the brain, which then becomes laser focused for looking for those things.
Right.
So if you're focused on all the that nothing ever goes your way, it's all you're going to see. And that's all that's going to keep being delivered to you. So it's really amazing because this is work that happens quite fast and it doesn't have to be hard and it doesn't have to be this years in therapy. Like the quantum pattern protocol gives us access to be able to clear, right? First, we have to get crystal clear on what it is you want, where you are. Then we got to clear all the stuff that isn't serving you so that you can
Mhm.
actually figure out who you are now. Then we get to create, and align, and we get to actually have you start feeling like you're active, that activation piece where you're starting to feel it, you're starting to see it. And then really important is that, and this is where for me as a neurosomatic practitioner and a quantum time release practitioner and evolved NLP and advanced trauma conscious coach, so much of this work is heavy on clarity and awareness, which is great. It's the basis foundation for any kind of transformation, but
Mhm.
it's there. And it's why people say, I've done so much work. I've been in therapy for years, and then I make progress and that feels really good. And then life happens because it always will and comes at you, and then bam, I revert right back to all the old stuff. Well, it's because the unconscious mind can't fill in the blank if you don't replace the neurology, the strategy, the behavior, the ways of thinking, and the ways of how things affect us. So we actually give you the skills to go with the knowledge so you don't end up in that insane,
Right.
maddening piece. And then once we've gotten cleared a way that no longer serves you, given you these skills, then we really look at what it is that you want now that we know what you want. And we do a process called the aligned achievement framework, or it's my quantum goal setting process. And we reverse engineer your goal, whatever that is. Could be financial, could be love, it could be health, doesn't matter what it is. And we start at the end. And then I ask you the question, what has to happen in the second before you achieved it? How do you know you're there? And that's a very critical point because ultimately then that becomes what we anchor in and install on your future timeline because the brain doesn't know the difference between something that is visualized with emotion and feeling. So you
Right.
see what you see and you hear what you hear and you feel what it feels like to have accomplished that. And then we micro step backwards all the way back till today or whatever day we're doing it. And again, like what has to happen just before that? And the reason we do it this way is that typically we set goals and we're like, okay, by the end of the year, I want to do this or I want to do this. And okay, what do we need to do? All right, well, we have to do this and this and this and this and this. Amazing. The problem is you miss about 70% of the most important steps because the brain can't fill in the blanks going forward. So we could do it backwards. And then again, install that on your future timeline, which ignites the reticular activating system to be looking for all those people and resources and opportunities and experiences to make sure you actually achieve that.
Hmm.
And then we move into the claim phase where you get to own and live from and love from and radiate this new version of you. And it's really where you actually fall in love with yourself again and trust yourself, and you confidently hold boundaries and expertly communicate your needs and really deepen the richness in every single one of your relationships.
Wow, this is incredible. So, how long is this process? Is it a coaching program, individual, or is it a group coaching?
This is all private work. So
Private.
you and me co-creating your life together. So this is not some coaching program where you're going to go through module one and then go fill out
Right,
some workbook, right? This is you and me together. And it's designed around the framework, of course, but it's individually designed for every person, every
right.
single circumstances. And there's there's a couple ways that we do this work. So one is the quantum intensive, which is really fast. It's designed around 8 sessions. So depending on the person, literally it could be 8 weeks. So very fast. Although in full transparency, I will tell you, I think in only once it's actually happened in 8 weeks. The reason is that no, like inevitably, I'm going to have something planned for us, and you're going to come to our call, and it's going to be apparent to me that you need something else. So we're going to set aside the plan and take care of you in that moment, and whatever that is.
Right.
And so this is not rigid. This is really, very intimate, very high touch, personalized work. So the intensive, again, very fast. Then there's the mastery experience, which is for the woman. So the intensive really gets us through the clear and the create phase of the process. And then you're ready, you're set up for that claim phase. The mastery experience then moves us into, once the intensive is over, then we spend the rest of whatever's left of the 12-month year actually co-creating and executing on all the areas of your life, so that you really get to say, like, okay, in this next year is about me. Like, this is my line in the sand. I want to live the life that's meant for me. I want the love that's meant for me. I don't want to be stuck in these places where I feel like I never actually get what I want, or I never actually get the thing, or the person there's just wrong. So that is, there's those are kind of like the two ways traditionally, typically, that I do this work. And then I offer a VIP experience where if you just want to go away and be somewhere beautiful and bougie for a couple of days and get pampered and do deep transformation work, then that's your thing. Some people are like, I just want to go and do it and be done and be fast and like, but also be totally pampered and cared for.
And is it just as successful in that setting where it's you go away somewhere for a long weekend or a week and you still seeing success?
Huge success. There's some, so again, depending on where we do that
Yeah.
in the process, some people want to do that on the beginning part and go do that deep work together in person, high touch mixed in with, luxury. And then there's some ongoing continued integration after that. It's not just like we're together for 2 days and then you're off on your own. So there is some ongoing, for the next 90 days after that.
Right.
Other people will do the deeper work up front, or the beginning of the work up front, and then have that VIP experience towards the back end, where they can then, maybe we do like your quantum time release away and maybe the goal piece, but then use that as, you know, maybe instead of getting, massage and a facial, maybe you want to have somebody come in, we do hair and makeup and a photo shoot, and you step into this new identity and feel beautiful. And, it's just, again, I design them individually for every single person.
Okay, I got it. So I guess when you meet a new client, you really go through a whole process of asking questions, understanding where they're at, understanding their past, what they're looking for going forward, and then you custom tailor the program for her specific needs.
Yes.
And you only work with women?
Yes.
And
Now,
what is the success rate of most of these women? Do you find that they stay on that path long after you're done with coaching them, or do some fall back to old patterns and need to come back to you?
well, like anything, right? There's three requisites for lasting change. Number one, you
Okay.
have to clean up the past. And we do that, but we do it at an unconscious level. So we're not re-traumatizing you. And you're not going back and talking about the thing that happened when you were 7 that then you decided you had to shrink to be loved, or that you were, had to be, you were too much or too not enough. You know what I'm saying? So we're not going back
Yes.
in and igniting, because every time you do that, your body experiences it again as though it's happening.
Yes.
So that's number one. Second thing is you have to get crystal clear about what you want. So inside of this work, and what I find, especially with high achieving women, they almost never actually fully get what they want. And here's why. It's like going to a restaurant and saying, I would like a beverage, a protein, a side, and a salad. Thank you very much. They bring you an iced tea, a chicken breast, some roasted carrots, and a Caesar salad. And you got exactly what you ordered. But what you wanted was a glass of champagne, a beautiful piece of salmon, some roasted asparagus, and an arugula salad with goat cheese and figs.
But she didn't ask for that specifically.
So that's the difference of that getting crystal clear.
Yes.
So we do that. We do your values elicitation and the non-negotiables and the desires, so that going forward, you don't have to worry about trusting yourself. You're going to know in an instant if this person is potentially gets to be in your world, whether that's a potential romantic partner or a business partner or a friendship that you're trying to evaluate. So it gives you the ability to make those values driven decisions and have a clean yes and a clean no, instead of the middle where we get paralyzed, where the drama and the noise and the decision fatigue comes because we don't have a lot of trust in ourselves, because we've made all these mistakes, or we end up in the same situation and we think that it's about us and we're broken or we're inherently not lovable or whatever it is. But really, it's about getting that clarity and then having this, essentially we create your menu, and immediately, so that you can not waste time and energy on that. Well, maybe that's not that big of a deal, and maybe that'll change, and maybe I'll compromise this thing I say is really important to me, but I'm also really worried that I'm 50 something, and what if nobody else comes along and this is my last chance, right? You go through all that stuff.
Yes.
This eliminates all of it. And then lastly, you have to actually take inspired action. So to answer your question, nothing is mastered by doing something once. So when we were talking earlier about that 72-hour process with the rubber band, the reason I have them do that and like play full out for 3 days is we have to actually create those new neural pathways for the new GPS. And then, sometimes I'll have clients that will, I also send everybody a bracelet that says I'm a magnet for miracles on it. And they will wear that long after the rubber band comes off, but just again, as a thing to keep them from spending hours wallowing or freaking out or
Yeah.
focusing on all these things that they don't want. So it's a process. I find like the intensive is amazing, but for the woman who wants to be held in a bigger way and really, just stay in the work in a way that's super intentional for the rest of the year, the mastery experience is perfect.
Wow. So this completely changed your life.
Oh my gosh, yes.
And so I'm thinking of your daughter. Her life has to have improved tremendously as well.
Thank you for acknowledging that. I tell all my clients, this isn't work that's just for you. Like, this
Right.
changes the game for your children, for your future grandchildren, for everybody around you. I mean, because, the other thing is, everything in the world is energy and everything is an energy exchange.
Yes.
And there was a person back in the 80s, his name was Dr. Emoto. And I don't know if you ever heard of him. He would photograph water, really high speed photography, and you could see the difference in if the words on the glass jar were spoken and taped on that were like, I hate you, stuff about Hitler, heavy metal music, and the molecules were totally distorted and very strange. But then I love you, talking about Mother Teresa, playing some soft jazz, and the crystals are beautiful and perfect like snowflakes.
Wow.
So the reason that's so important is that if you think about our world is 70% water. Our bodies are 70% water. So every exchange that we have, we actually are changing the molecular structure of our DNA.
Yes.
So when, as a mama, the focus becomes on the other things, and so what's coming in and what's coming out is that it 100% changes the game for your family, your friends, your community, and the world, because we are that, it is that powerful, and it starts with what we're thinking about.
Wow. How rewarding is this for you to see the transformation of women?
It's literally the best. I've
It
never
isn't work for you, right? I'm sure it's all pleasure.
amazing. It's like it's such an honor.
Yes.
People will say, well, what if it doesn't work? And I said, look, the only way this isn't going to work is if you literally never show up. I mean,
Right.
that's it. So you're not left to your own devices of, I always start things and I never finish them. I buy courses and I don't do them. Yep, great. That's human nature. But this, because it's you and me together, like, and I've never had somebody step out of the work and say, it was okay. Like, no. So the transformations and the shifts in everything from parenting to romantic relationships to career to triggers with parents. I mean, it all changes because you also, with getting, diving into NLP, you kind of also get a master in NLP communication, which changes things for you, but also for everyone you're communicating with.
Yeah. So, as far as women coming to you, what the majority of women, are they in midlife? Are they younger? What do you see the most of?
I would say 90% are midlife, 40s and 50s. Currently, right now, I have the youngest is 32 and the oldest is 71.
Wow.
And my 71-year-old client just did her QTR. We did it last week. She is such a spitfire. So she just had her third divorce.
Wow.
And she found me somewhere somehow. We had a conversation and she's like, "Yeah, I'm not done yet. I I want to have love that matches me. I want to have somebody who, she's an artist and she was a lawyer for a million years. And she's like, I want to have somebody who's will, go take a walk and have a glass of wine and go look at a gallery with me, or somebody that will say, yeah, let's go jump on a plane and go do something together, or let's just go sit on the and have a walk. And she said, but I also know that if I want that, I got to figure out why I keep marrying the same man over and over again in a different body. So
Right.
it's all exciting, and it's all, it varies. But to answer your question, I would say 90% of my clients are that 40s and 50s, and then the other 10% are sprinkled, earlier and later.
So when a woman starts to rewire her brain and starts thinking differently because of the work that you're doing, so now she's more likely to attract, and correct me if I'm wrong, to attract someone whose thinking is very similar to hers.
Of course, because we don't attract what we want, we attract who we are.
Right.
So that frequency piece becomes critical. So it's kind of like this. Susan, what's your favorite music? Your favorite type of music?
I like soft rock,
Okay. And what's a genre of music you cannot stand?
heavy metal.
Same, same. So let's pretend that Sirius XM radio station 111 is soft rock. And let's say Sirius XM station 99 is like Metallica all day long. Well, you can't hear soft rock on the Metallica station, right? So if you want to hear soft rock, you have to change the frequency of the radio
Right.
station to go up here. It's the same for us. So if everything that you want for yourself, your life, your future, your family is living up here on station 111, and right now you're stuck on Metallica, you certainly can't hear it, get it, live it, be it. We have to raise the
Yes.
frequency so that you're there. So then that's what you call in, because that's who you are now.
Wow. This is incredible work. I
Hmm.
am so intrigued by the whole thing. It really is incredible. Leave me with some final thoughts for a woman who's in a situation right now where she's not satisfied at all in her life. It could be career, relationship, trouble with her children. Final thoughts on something
Okay.
like that.
Number one, just because it's always been like this, it doesn't have to be like this going forward. And it doesn't take months and years. Like this can take literally hours, days, and weeks. And you're different. Your life is different. What's happening is different. How you respond is different. The other thing I would like to say that I would love to offer your listeners is we created a diagnostic called the ELLI, which stands for the Extraordinary Love Index. It's 40 questions, and based on my frameworks, it looks at 9 key areas: impact, communication, forgiveness, betrayal, abandonment, all these things. And after that, I send you a 28-page, fully customized report based on all of your answers. And I show you what might be, might be what shows up in your life and how you're feeling. Here's the cost of staying there. And here's something you can do right now to start to help shift. And it is amazing insight, whether you're needing to figure out how to love yourself more, or
Mhm.
you're wanting extraordinary love with someone else, or you just want your relationships to be better overall. It's insight that is so incredible. Every human being on the planet should take it. And so that's on my, rianamalia.com is the website. There's tons of resources there, but you can also go there and take the Ellie. And I'd love to give that to all of your listeners. And then of
Okay.
course, there's, if you want to have a deeper conversation, there's an application available for you to fill out, and we'll see if it's a fit, then we'll spend some time together one-on-one, my treat, and see what that looks like for you.
Great. And you're on social media as well?
Yes, at
Okay.
Riana Malia, Rianamalia for Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn,
Okay.
YouTube.
I'll put all of that information in the show notes as well.
Okay, good.
This was fabulous. I love this work. I think it's so needed. It really is. So many women that I speak to that are unhappy in their career and they feel locked in, or they're in a relationship where they also feel locked in. And a lot of them, because of their age,
Yeah.
being in their 50s or their 60s, it's like, well, what, my life is almost over. No, your life is not almost
There's
over.
so much more that's meant for you in your life. And between now and dead, let's make sure you get to live that instead of
Yeah.
the rest of your life just wishing for it and having that kind of that ache and longing for what you never got to experience.
Wow, Rihanna, this has been great. Thank you so much for coming on. I
Thanks for having
appreciate you and the work that you're doing. And I'd love for you to come back again and
me.
talk more
Yeah,
about this.
I would love that.
Thank you. Thank you all for coming on today and listening to this fabulous episode. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave me a comment. Let me know what you think. Also, if you know of anyone who could benefit from listening to this episode, I would love it if you could share it out with them and let me know. And if you're not currently subscribed to my channel, please make sure that you subscribe. This way, when the next episode airs, you'll know and you'll be able to listen right away. Again, thank you so much. I appreciate each and every one of you. And until the next time, be well, stay happy, and bye for now. Take good care, everyone.